Hello everyone, it's Kathy and you're back here in my YouTube channel, Kathy's Random Acts of Stampin'. Thanks so much for tuning in. And today I'm actually going to show you a card that I cased from another demonstrator. Many of you know Connie Stewart, and she did this, what she called a diorama card. And she did hers with the deckled rectangles. And let me show you what those look like so you will get an idea. This is what they look like. They're very much like the regular rectangle dies, but they have that deckled edge, which is just kind of a little funky edging on it. They're not straight lines, they're kind of wiggly. I preferred using my stitched rectangles because I think it gave me a nice neat stitching all the way down, and I love the way that looked. Now you can use either or, but for the card I'm going to do today, I am using the stitched rectangles. I have to admit that I absolutely love Connie, and I follow her. I get a lot of ideas from her, but I had a hard time with this card. This was my first attempt. And yeah, it looks okay, but it's not that same. I didn't get it to fall like it should. And I'd spoken to some other demonstrators that said they had the same problem. So what I'm hoping to do in this video is to go through this and show you where I made my mistakes and see if that will help you when you get ready to make this card. It's not a hard card to make. It's just knowing exactly how to lay your pieces out, how to put them together, and then how to glue everything down to your card base. So let's go ahead and get started. You're only going to need a few things. I do have my foam adhesive strips. Those are going to play in, very important. I have the go-to greetings because we're going to use this for the greeting on the front. And of course, like I said, my stitched rectangle dies. These are crucial in the making of this card. We're going to need some Memento Tuxedo black ink to stamp our sentiment. And we are only going to need 2 pieces of cardstock. This is a piece of Designer Series paper, and this piece is from the Wonderful World Designer Series paper that is in the Celebration catalog. And I'm sure that if you've seen this paper, it is stunning. But I wanted something that had a smaller print, so I found the one with the yellow backing, the yellow stripe, and on the back of it is this very pretty soft green with the beautiful flowers in it. So we're going to use that piece tonight. And both of these pieces, this is fresh freesia, and I thought that it would pair really well with that. It looks very summery, I think, but yet also kind of a vintage look to it. So both of these pieces measure the same. They are 5.5 by 4.25. So that's all you need is a 1/4 sheet of regular cardstock and a piece of your Designer Series paper that measures the same as a 1/4 sheet, which would be the 4.25 by 5.5. So once you get those, lay those to the side. You're also going to need a card base. Now I chose the Very Vanilla because I think it looks better with this paper. I think if you put this on the stark white, it kind of gives it a different look. I think it looks very pretty on that. Plus our fresh freesia looks pretty against the Very Vanilla. So this card base is a regular standard card base. It is 8.5 this way by 5.5 this way, and I scored it at 4 1/4. Got a nice good crease on it, and that's going to be our card base. Now we won't need that for a little bit, so I'm just going to lay that to the side. We're going to need to work with these 2 pieces. Now I'm going to lay my Designer Series paper. If you're using a Designer Series paper that has a direction like this piece, if you notice, this did not have a direction. This was just a speckled cardstock, and that came from last year's, not last year, our last campaign of Celebration items, and this was the one that was called Friendly Hello, and I got that from that pack of paper. And anytime that I'm doing like a prototype card and I'm not really sure, I don't waste my really good stuff on it. I will make it out of something like this, and then if it turns out really good, great, and if it don't, then it's no love loss. I can throw it out and start over and work it until I get it right. But that turned out really well, and I was real pleased with it. So what we're going to do, I've got my tuxedo black ink. Like I said, we're going to use that for our sentiment when we get to it. Let's grab our dies, because the first thing you want to do is lay your dies out. And you're going to start with your largest die, and you're going to lay it down face down on your piece of designer series paper. Now, what I suggest doing is using some type of adhesive that will hold this in place. Just a little piece of painter's tape, a post-it note. You want something that's just going to hold that for you. Then our next piece, let me zoom y'all out a little bit so you can better see what we're doing. There we go. Now our next die, the next size down, is going to go onto our fresh freesia or your solid cardstock. You're going to do the same thing. You want to get it squared up as nice and even as you can. Use some tape or a post-it flag, whatever you use to hold your dies in place, and do that. The next one is going to go back up to your designer series paper. So this one's going to go right about here, just like so. And then you're going to put that down like that. And do the same thing up here. Lift that piece of tape and then get that down so it's adhering to both pieces. Now we're going to go to our very next die, one step down, and this one's going to go on this piece. So every other die, you're going to start with your largest die on your designer series paper, the next one on your solid cardstock, and so forth and so on. So now we have 2 on here and 2 on there. So the next one is going to go up here, and we're going to do the same thing here. We're going to tape that down, and you want to get them nice and straight as you possibly can. You want these pieces to stay so your window pieces are the same size all the way through. So once you get that taped down, our last piece is going to be on this piece here, and that's going to be, or is that, let's see, 1, 2, 3, no, we have one more. All right, this one's going to go right here. And we're going to tape that one down. And then the last one, I think that's going to be our last one. Yeah, this will be our last one. So that leaves us one little die left on our set of dies. That's okay. Now we're going to bring over our Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. And I'm going to sit it kind of like this because I want to be able to get these onto my plate, hopefully without anything coming apart on me. So I'm going to lift up this piece like that, and I'm going to lay it just a little bit at an angle, because anytime you're doing rectangles or squares, you do not want the flat edge to go into your machine. You want it to go in like this at a little bit of an angle. Let me see if I can move this over and turn this around like this where you can see it a little better. These kind of moved, but I'll have to get those straightened back up. But see how I have that in at just a hair of an angle? That's what you want. Then we're going to take our cut plate or our cover plate and put it back over top, just like that. And I'm going to eyeball it and look and see if everything looks about like I want it. And that looks pretty good. And if you notice, you didn't hear any loud popping with that, just that very end when it comes to the very end of it. So what we're going to do, we're going to take this piece off, and I'm going to lay it, if I can, all together right here. And I'm going to put this piece back up here. And I'm going to see if I can get this arranged back on here like I had it, because things moved when I moved my cardstock. So those two pieces are pretty good. Let's see if we can lift. The main thing you want to do is just make sure that your layers are kind of evenly spaced. I think I'll do better if I bring it down here and get them spaced where I can actually see them a little better, and then I'll just bring it back up and show y'all once I get it taped down. How about that? So now we can go ahead and put this right here. We want to turn it at just that little tiny bit of an angle, and then cover it with our cover plate and crank it through. Now I'm going to move my machine out of the way. Hopefully we won't need this anymore. And let's bring each one of these back in. Let's see if I can get everything here like I need it. Now what you're going to do is pull your tape up, whatever you use to hold your dies in place. Now if you feel more comfortable, you can cut these two at a time. I felt okay with using the tape, that I could do them all at once, but that is totally up to you what you feel more comfortable doing. So I'm going to peel these off. And if you've used squares, rectangles, or circles to do little frames, this is pretty much the same cutting. You're making all these little frames. So the first thing we want to do is get rid of that outer edge. This piece right here is all trash, so you can throw that one away. And the same thing with this one. You do not need that one. So I'm going to lay my dies back over here. Now when you finish, you should have 1, 2, and 3. And then on this one, you're not going to need that centerpiece, so we can take that out. And then on this one, you should have 1, 2, and 3. So you should have 3 pieces of your designer series paper cut, and you should have 3 of your solid pieces. So if that's what you got, just remember you're going to take the outside piece off of both of them and the inside piece off of your designer series paper. This piece we're going to use to stamp on. So before we go any further, let's go ahead and stamp on this piece. And I'm going to bring my stamp set in. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this excess paper out of my way. Since we don't need it, there's no need of taking up space over here. My dies aren't going to stay up there, so we'll put them right there. Alright, so this one I want it to say thinking of you, and I think I'm going to use this thinking of you right here, and this is from that Go-To Greetings stamp set. This is such a great stamp set to have for your simple sentiments. This is exactly what I think I would call it, is simple sentiments. So this is the one that says thinking of you. And that's going to go down right about there. And we're going to grab some our Memento ink and a stamp block. And I am going to center this right about here. And I want to center that thinking of you right on the middle of that piece of cardstock. And let's go ahead and ink it. I'm going to look at my stamp and make sure that it's inked nice and dark. That looks pretty good. So now I'm going to go over top. I'm hoping I'm not in the camera view, but I want to get over top so I can make sure that I'm centered up on this piece. And I'm going to stamp that down. I'm just going to hold it and try not to rock it. Rocking your stamps can get you that little shadow, sometimes a little line of ink over top of or under. Oop, and see, I did just that. I rocked it and I've got ink where I didn't want ink. See that? So we are going to take another piece and we're going to use that smallest, no, not the smallest, next to the smallest. I think I got ink on my die. Let's go ahead and cover this back up until we're ready to use it. And I'm gonna, normally I would turn this over, but your stitching is going to look different on the back than it does on the front. So we're not going to do that. We're going to just toss that one. And let's see if I have a scrap. And I do. I think this will work really well. So we're just going to put this on and I'm going to crank it through my machine. Let's see if we can put these dies back over here. I had to move my drink out of the way. The last thing I wanted to do was turn a drink over in here. That would not be a good thing. So I've got my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine over here, and I'm not even going to bring it back under the camera. I'm just going to run this through because all I'm doing is just cutting out this rectangle. So I'm going to lay that down like so. And then we're just going to cut that out. The good thing about this is I don't have to be real careful because I'm just cutting the piece out of this strip. So there we go. We have our nice little piece again. So I'm going to try that again. I am going to wipe my stamp down before I start because I want to make sure that my stamp is nice and clean. I am going to do what I normally do, reactivate my cleaner with just a squirt of water. And I'm going to give that a good little scrub on one side, and then we're going to dry it on the other side. That's the beauty of the Stampin' Scrub. You can clean on one side or do a wash on one side and a dry on the other. So now your stamp is dry and ready to go. And that little tool is called the Stampin' Scrub, and I love it. It is such a neat little tool to have. Alright, so let's bring our ink back in, and I'm going to be really careful. I'm just going to kiss that ink pad. And then we're going to come over right into the middle, stamp straight down, and straight up. That is better, but it's not as dark as I would like it. But we're going to go with that. Probably should have done it on the Stamparatus, and then I could have went back over it with no problems, but that's okay. I'm going to bring that Stampin' Scrub back over and just clean this off again real quick. Like so. And now this piece is ready, but what we're going to do with this piece is we want to put our floral image around it. So we want to frame it with that, and in order to do that we are just going to run some glue right around the outer edges of this. Or do I want to do... we're going to run tape. We're going to use our tape first. So this is the way I made this one work. So I'm going to go with the same process. I'm going to use tape first and glue second. And these adhesive foam strips are so great for projects like this because you can just pull off a strip, put it right where you want it. Now when you're putting these down, make sure you put them as close to your opening as you possibly can without them being seen from the other side. So you will need your paper snips, because what you're going to want to do is come in up underneath there and snip and see what I have. And when you turn that over, you don't want to see that adhesive under there. You just want it to just barely be hid back there. So I'm going to grab another strip. These are nice because you can pull them off into pieces just like that. And I'm going to butt this piece up to there. Just like that. Pull that back. And then we're going to go all around that window frame or that little opening and doing the same thing. You just want to make sure that you cannot see the adhesive from the outside. So you want to make sure you're over just a hair. So I'm going to cut that again right up there close to the edge and press. And then we're going to put this down. And this can be a little time consuming because you want to go slow and you want to get your piece exactly where it needs to be. So it can be a bit fidgety, but if you take your time and do this, you won't have any problems getting this together. Now this piece is perfectly ready. Now what you want to do is make sure, sit that back in to your frame, make sure you've got it going in the right direction. So that one goes this way. So let's turn these around so that they are facing in the right direction, because like I told you, it's crucial if you're using this paper, you want to keep your pieces going in the right direction. So now you're going to go ahead and peel off your backer. And these things work just like your Stampin' Dimensionals, only they're just adhesive strips. Now what you're going to want to do is take this piece and center it right over top of your solid piece that you stamped on. So sit it down, look at it, see how it looks, see if you got it right. No, not quite. So we need to come over just a little bit. This stuff is very forgiving, so you can pull it up if you're gentle. Okay, so what I want to do is get it. It might even do better if you do it this way, and that way you may know that you're covering top and bottom. Let's see how that worked. That worked beautifully. So now you already have your first piece going down. So now you're ready to do your second piece. So again, your second piece is going to be the middle piece of this with this piece taped over top of it. So again, you're going to want to run your adhesive along this side of this, or you can do it on the edges of that. Let's do it on the edge of this. So you want to get it as close to the window on your Designer Series paper as you possibly can. So I'm going to take this little piece and I'm going to lay it right here, just like that. And I'm going to pull off, this is your little edging piece, but it's also a piece that you can very easily use. So I'm going to cut a little piece of this. And I'm going to set it down right about here. I just want to butt it up against that, making sure that it's not over. Let's lay this piece down so we don't have to fiddle with more than one piece at a time. So you want to put this piece down just so it butts up against that piece and runs up to the top. Something like that. And if your adhesive comes off the top, don't get excited, just let it go. It's all right. And that looks really good. So now we're going to take another piece, and this one is going to run from here straight down to there, and we're going to cut it, and then we're going to run it from here straight down and pull it back and trim it. And then we have that last piece that we're going to put right here down to there, and we're going to cut that, and we're just going to need a tiny little piece to go just that little section right there. So I'm going to pull this piece over. Just like that. And now we're going to take another one of these strips . And I am so sorry, Bella is snoring up a storm. Bella. Bella, 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 no, no. Oh, she has ate and she is comfy and cozy and ready to snooze. So, I do apologize for my snoring dog. Sometimes both of them get going in here, and I'm sure y'all have trouble hearing me. I apologize for that. So I took that little piece and I'm just putting it right in between those pieces, and I got a teeny little gap there, but that'll be okay. So what we're going to do is pull off our backers and pull that off and pull this off and off, and then we're ready to stick this piece to the smaller next size piece. Again, if you want to, totally up to you, you may want to turn this piece over and adhere it down just like this. Let's see if we can . Now I'm going to lift it up before I press it down and make sure that's what I want. That looks pretty good. So then I'm going to mash on it. Now what we're going to do when we get ready to put this together, this is going to go down here. Just like that. And we should have a little bit of continuation of our pattern by sticking it down like that. Let's see. Yeah, like this. It'll go in just like that. So let's go ahead and work our next piece, which is our largest. We're going to go ahead and take a strip, and this time we're going to run it across the top. And I'm going to trim that down just a hair. And then we're going to run this one down. And trim it. And I'm going to take this little piece and just go right here, because I'm going to grab another piece to go across there. Oops. There we go. That was actually that end piece, but that's okay. I'm going to lay it down right across here. And snip there. And then we're going to put this one down right to here. And I'm going to snip that right about here. Now this piece is going to go right back onto my backer, and that'll be good for our next use. So again, we're going to look at this, and this is the way it's going to go down. So it's going to go on top of this piece. So what I'm going to do is turn it over. I'm going to pull my backers off, just like we've been doing. Once you get those all off, hopefully not stuck to everything else like I'm doing, but pull them off like that. And now we're going to take this piece and we are going to center it up over top of that adhesive, just about like that. Turn it over, look at it. Nope, not quite right. This piece needs to come over a little bit more. And this is what you have to do. You just kind of have to play with it and see. And if you find that it's too difficult, use a little liquid glue on top of your adhesive. That will give you that little bit of wiggle room that you need. So let's go in this direction. Very pretty. And then that piece will glue. This is going to glue on top of here. And then this is going to glue on top of here, giving you that window that looks like it's going down, down, down. And that is exactly what we're looking for. Now the rest of the gluing is going to be a lot easier. If you've got this far with me and you can do this part, then the rest of it is easy peasy, because all we're going to do now is turn this, start at the bottom. Always start with the bottom. We're going to take and run glue as close to this edge around here as we can, and I'm going to use a fine tip bottle because I think this is going to help me get my glue exactly where I want it. So I'm going to kind of use that stitch line as my guide, and I don't do anything straight, y'all can see that, but I am going to do my best just to get that glue right around there like that. Then I'm going to lift up this entire piece and I'm going to bring it over and I'm going to center it on top of that piece. Once I get it down, I'm just going to give it a light press, turn it over and press, and turn it back over. So now we're going to do the same thing with this one. We are going to go around this inside edge, because that's the inside edge is what's going to glue to this. So you want that glue to be as close to this inside edge as you possibly can get it. So again, right along that stitch line, as close to the opening as possible. Just run you a nice little bead of glue. And if you have a little fine tip bottle, this right here is absolutely wonderful for doing this. Okay, once you get that on, you're going to lift it up, and then you're going to center it right over top of your piece, and you're going to sit it down on top of it, give it a press, turn it over, press, and now you are ready for your card base. I mean, how simple was that? Look at that beautiful yellow paper on the back side of that designer series paper. Isn't that gorgeous? Now you're ready to glue this onto your card base. But if you notice, the only place that you can put adhesive or any type of glue is right here, because the rest of this is dimensioned up away from the part of your card. So you can use two-sided tape, you can use glue, you can use Stamp and Seal. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to do some Stamp and Seal, and then I'm going to come back over it with some glue. And the reason I think I want to do that is I want to make sure that this piece stays on here, but I also want to give myself just a tiny bit of wiggle room when I'm putting this down, so that I make sure I can get it good and centered. So that's not a problem putting glue over top of your Stamp and Seal or your tear and tape. So let's just take this and eyeballing top to bottom, side to side, I am going to sit it down just like that. Give it a press, a press, a press, a press, a press. Then I'm going to open it and I'm going to press it again right there. Now all I need to do is put a pretty piece of cardstock inside of here, and I think for that I am going to take a piece of the fresh freesia. You know what, I already have a card base cut for this. All we have to do with this now is just cut it down to fit inside. So I am going to cut this down to 4 inches this way by 5 1/4 this way, and we are ready to adhere this into our card. And look how gorgeous this card is going to be. Now we can stamp something inside, the thinking of you, and let's see, what do we want to say? I'm thinking of you, and we could put just a note. That would be cute. Or we could find something a little more elaborate and maybe let it say, I don't know, something meaningful. What do you think? Let's look at, I'm just going through my stamps, y'all, so just bear with me. How about flowers of friendship and life is better with friends like you? That would be so cute inside of there. So let's, and we could actually stamp these little bitty flowers across the bottom here. Wouldn't that be cute? So let's do that. Let's do that in the fresh freesia. So I'm going to grab my fresh freesia ink pad. I love that tone on tone. Y'all know that. So I'm going to pull my stamp off of here, and I'm going to pick this up, and I'm going to ink it up. I'm going to stamp right about here, and then I'm going to come right about here. And they look like they just continued across the bottom, which I think is so cute. And let's get our stamp and scrub and clean this off. And I have some more extremely adorable cards that I'm going to be bringing to y'all. So just hang tight because they are coming. I've got so many ideas. I went through that slump for a little bit there, but now I seem like I am back on top of things, and I absolutely love being creative again. It's so much fun. So life is better with friends like you. And I'm going to center that right there. And I'm going to pick it up. And I think for this one I'm going to use the memento. And I am going to try to stamp this as nice and straight as I can get it. So pretty. And then this can go down into our card base just like that. So I'm just going to use some regular liquid glue. Like that, and then we'll lift this up and let's sit this in like that, and then it gives us a place to sign that card. And what a pretty card to send off to someone that you care about. You know, the fun thing of making cards is being able to share them with other people, and this is a card I am sure I'm going to get closer so you can actually see that beautiful diorama effect of it going cascading inward. Rather than building our card upward, we're building it downward. And I thought this is such a great technique, and see how pretty that looks. And you line your flowers up and everything looks like they're just continued. I think it's absolutely stupendous. I love the way it turned out. I think anybody would be thrilled to get a card like this. So I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope that this would be something that you would want to try. The supplies are a very limited amount of supplies that you can use, and you can do this with any of your stamp sets. So try it with your circles and squares and ovals. Oh my. So you just never know how pretty your card's going to turn out. So I'm not sure which one I like the best now. I was really totally in love with this one. Now this one I didn't put anything on it, but we could put some gems in it. So let's look and see what we have that would be a pretty gem to glue inside of there. You know, you can never go wrong with rhinestones. That's always one of my go-to gems of choice. So let's do that. Let's go with our rhinestones. So I'm going to take these out, and I don't think I want anything on the frame part of it. I'm just going to put maybe 3 inside. I think that'd be so lovely, and I think it's going to be all that we need on this card. So let's put one right there, and one right here. And then let's do one maybe right about there. Oh, love that. Isn't that gorgeous? And I told a friend of mine the reason this one had the ribbon on it was I made a boo-boo, and I used the ribbon to cover up where my stamp kind of did a little, like I showed you a while ago, the shadow from where I rocked my stamp when I stamped it down. And yeah, I just redid it, and I thought it turned out absolutely beautiful. But now this card is stunning. I am so thrilled with this one. In fact, I think I like this one better than this one, and I didn't think that was possible. But these colors are so pretty together, and I hope you've enjoyed this. And like I said, if this is something you would like to make, remember you can choose any of the items that I use, and you can shop for them over at my online store. And I would appreciate your business. So if this is a card you'd like to make, remember this paper pack is absolutely free. With a $100 purchase, you'll get this, the 12 by 12 paper pack, along with the Wonderful World stamp set. And let me show you that. So a $100 purchase will get you that paper, but also the stamp set. And isn't that beautiful? So you get, this is a two-tier set, so you have to have both the, they're not broken up is what I'm trying to say. It's $100 and it's both items, so just such a great deal. So I hope that would be something you would think about if you're interested in this beautiful pack of paper. So anyway, I'm going to close for now, and thank you once again for tuning in, being a part of my crafty family. I hope that I've inspired you, your creativity to get in your craft room or your craft table and get to work, because creating is so much fun. So God bless and keep you. And remember what I always say in closing, let everything that you do and say bring glory to our Father in heaven. He is worthy. So until we craft again, God bless and keep. Bye-bye.